I grew up with 5 siblings and a single mom. My name's Daniel, and because I was the eldest, I had to take care of my family as early as I was able. I did everything. I washed cars, did paper routes, delivered food, anything that could help feed my family. It wasn't the best childhood, but families gotta stick together. And whenever the kids at school would say I was a loser for working or being poor, I'd just ignore them because I knew I was doing it because I loved my family. There was a boy who made my life more difficult than anyone else. His name was Terrence. He was the principal's son, and every time we came across each other, he'd be ready with some uninspired put-down, and it always was about how I was poor. One day, I nodded off in the middle of history, and our teacher threw a piece of chalk at me to wake me up. It hit me right in the forehead, and I tried to explain that I worked late last night at the convenience store, so I didn't get much sleep, but Mrs. Gatsby didn't care about my excuse. Yo, Daniel's so poor he can't even pay attention. Of course, his minions would always laugh with him, but honestly, nobody else found it amusing. How about you ask your mom to pay attention to you? What I said ruffled Terrence's feathers. See, his mom left him in the care of his uncle because she wanted to marry a hot model, and they had a new kid together. Terrence only saw his mom once or twice a year. Most years, she didn't even bother coming to his birthday. Terrence stood up and flipped my chair, flipping me over along with it. I didn't like getting into trouble, but I was not in the mood to be a pacifist that day, and so I clambered back up and got revenge in the form of a fist to Terrence's face. We were both sent to the principal's office, but only one of us got detention. I was also suspended for an entire week. I guess that's the difference when your family owns half the town's businesses. I was already in a bad mood that evening, and I had to use up the last of my money that I'd been saving so I could buy myself a new pair of shoes for groceries. So by the time I got to the store, I was not in a good place. And then, the moment I got there, I bump into this girl who was throwing stuff on the floor. What in the world are you doing? What do you mean? And who are you? Never mind me. Why are you throwing food on the ground? Oh, well, I wanted to try them all, but I can't possibly finish them. And are you paying for them? What? Do you think I'm a beggar or something? Of course I'm paying for it. I've already paid for everything in this store. I couldn't believe what was coming out of her mouth. Of all the days, that day was not the one I was expecting to come across a delusional homeless chick. Oh, you've paid for them, haven't you? So I guess you won't mind if I grab a few things then. What are you doing? It's mine! I paid for it! You don't need it all! We argued for a good 5 minutes. I told her that she was making a huge mess that people who worked there would have to clean up. And then she said she was just gonna pay them to do it. I was furious. She obviously had no money, so I started yelling out for security. And then the manager appeared, and when she saw what was happening, her face registered shock. And then panic. How did you get in here? You're toast now. You should call the cops. She's been doing this in every aisle. I think there's something wrong with her. What? Wait, what are you doing? How in the heck did you get in here? You mean me? Through the doors? What the heck? Take your hands off me! I'm not the one stealing food, she is! She's not stealing any of it, you stupid boy! She bought all of it, now get out of here before you both get us in even more trouble! I was so confused, but I was still without groceries, so I hopped onto another bus and went across town for them. I had to walk home because I had no money left for another ride. And that was when I noticed that I was being followed. I turned around quickly and they disappeared. I walked a few paces again and then I quickly turned around and there were at least 5 men in suits, just pretending to chill at a cafe I just passed. I had no idea who they were, but I've heard enough about kids being captured and sold to the highest bidder, and I wasn't looking to be the subject of an auction. I ran, and as soon as my feet left the ground, I heard heard the 5 guys get up and run after me. I jumped over obstacles, slid under scaffolding, and slipped through people in the busy sidewalk. I ran through dodgy alleyways and ran through traffic just to lose them. But after 5 minutes, which felt like a full hour of evading them, I rushed through an abandoned warehouse. I saw the exit leading to a crowded market and felt the impending taste of freedom. I knew I'd lose them there. I flung the door open and ran into the arms of a man that was built like a house. They put a bag over my head and tied me up, pushing me into some sort of car. I heard the engine start and the drive felt like an eternity. I was eventually shoved out of the vehicle and then pushed onto my knees. Someone took off my blindfold and I had to blink a few times from how bright the room was. I believe you owe me an apology. You? It's your Royal Highness to you. Oh, you really are delusional. You're not some princess that I have... Seriously? As I was saying, from where I'm from, speaking to a member of the royal family in such a manner as you did can be considered treason. Do you know what the punishment for treason is? I didn't know. Why were you dressed up like a homeless person? It's none of your concern, but you must apologize to me. It would have been so easy. I could have said sorry and we'd be out of each other's hair. But like I said, I wasn't in the best of moods. And I just realized she bought an entire store's worth of food just so she could taste them. Meanwhile, my family was starving. So I blew up. Why should I apologize to you? Do you have any idea how many people are starving out there? And you have a dumb idea to buy out an entire store and just throw the leftovers away? What kind of selfish, self-centered, short-sighted? I've had enough. Guards, throw him in the dungeon. The dungeon turned out to be a cellar where her dad kept bottles of drinks. And Catherine told me I would only be allowed out if I apologized. I was hard-headed, and I admit, I let my pride get the better of me. I even forgot that my hungry family was waiting at home for food. In the morning, Catherine came in with a bunch of maids. One of them had a breakfast tray, another was holding a uniform, another was carrying a pair of shoes. All right, if you're not gonna apologize, then you will at least pay me back. Pay you back for what? I had you followed, and I knew that, and investigated. I've learned that you're not a bad person, but you're poor and your family is struggling. Thanks for the obvious, which is why I had your house destroyed. You what? So I could have a much better house built for your hardworking family. They're at a 5-star hotel at the moment while they wait for the new house to be completed. I was speechless. I was fully prepared for her to bring me the worst news, but she was actually kind of kind. And so I accepted her offer. To thank her and pay her back for what she did for my family, I worked as her servant. But as the days passed, something happened between Catherine and me. It was hard to explain, but every time our hands touched accidentally, there was a spark. It became too awkward, so I tried to keep away from her. And although her house had 20 bedrooms and sat on a 20-acre piece of land, we still ran into each other so often. One day, she was getting off a new horse that her dad bought for her, and the horse was being temperamental. The animal bucked her off, and I saw her get thrown into the air. I rushed to catch her, but I was so panicked that I lost balance as soon as I caught her, and we ended up tumbling down the hill together. I thought I was gonna get fired. I thought our guards were about to lock me up in the dungeon. But then Catherine laughed, and then she kissed me. I was not the only one shocked by it. The guards all blushed and disappeared into the bushes as swiftly as they could. Catherine told her dad immediately about us, and to everyone's surprise, he barely batted an eye. He said yes to us getting engaged without a second thought. Catherine wanted to get married without delay, and so she took me to the nearest place to get suits. Oh, gross. What, you work here now too? I'm gonna have to tell my dad we can't get our suits from this shop if you've touched any of them. And who do you think you are talking to the future prince like that? One look at her and Terrence's eyes grew wide. He recognized Catherine. Oh, I'm so sorry, Princess. I had no idea. Weren't you supposed to be at Dad's luncheon yesterday? He said he was gonna introduce us. No need. I've met you now, and I've decided you're a total loser. Now get out of our way. My fiancé and I are shopping for our wedding. Wedding? To this guy? You have a problem with that, Terrence? You know, speaking to the future prince like that can be considered treason. Terrence ran away and never bothered me again. Catherine and I got married in my family's new backyard. It was a private affair attended only by those we loved. I never expected that the next time I saw my family, it would be as a prince.
Please don't forget to share this podcast on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and so on. Thanks for your support. Check out our YouTube channel by clicking the link in this episode description. And also, kindly please rate and review this podcast. Bye.